Once Bolton Valley was off and running, the mountain's unique focus on family and kids began to take shape.
We knew that we didn't have the steeps to be another Stowe or another Sugarbush. And all of their marketing at the time, if you went back to Ski and Skiing magazine, was always almost to the expert skier and rarely to families. So it was really designed for families. We put in the first nursery that I know of at the base of the mountain the first year we opened.
My husband's father, actually, and mother first picked Bolton Valley 50-odd years ago because there was a daycare. That was the reason that they picked the hill initially. So through the years, we've all gone through the daycare, so the kind of tradition continues.
I think it's always been a place where parents could bring their children and feel comfortable. It had always the feel of a family mountain. And then, of course, you had the ski programs in the schools. As they developed, they came up here.
When I went to Burlington High School, there was maybe, at the most, a dozen kids that skied. And this is the largest high school in the state. Vermonters just didn't ski. It was really for the wealthy out-of-staters. So I said, when I start a ski area, I'm going to teach every local kid, not just Bolton, Vermont kid that wants to ski. For the first year, I went to different schools and said, if you bring them up in the school bus, we'll give them lifts and lessons one night a week for the whole season for $10. We had 43 different schools in our after-school program. They still have tons of them in their after-school program. So in the end, we figured that we taught 27,000 local kids to ski. Of all the good things we've done at Bolton, I think that's one of the things that I feel the best about.
You know, if I'm out west or somewhere else skiing and I wear my Bolton Valley hat, it's amazing how many people will come up to you and say, "Oh, I learned to ski at Bolton Valley." I think that's sort of what Bolton is. It's where a lot of people have learned how to ski.
So yeah, I learned to ski at Bolton when I was 3 years old, 1982, 1983, and then was gone for about 20 years. And now we're back. Kaylin is 5, and this is her, almost second year, full year. She started on the rope toe and the Mighty Mite, and now she goes to the top of the Vista chair.
We grew up skiing here. Well, we've got 3 generations that are out on the mountain, and I think that's special.
Over the years, thousands of families have skied together, and many, many people have learned to ski at Bolton Valley. But perhaps none have gone on to as much fame or made as big of an impression as Ralph's own sons, Rob and Eric.
Since they're 4 years old, they skied at least 100 days a year. I mean, they get off the school bus, the Smiley school bus, and we had night skiing, and they go right to the slopes. Every day we were open, and they come in for supper at 7 o'clock.
And I remember this big group of kids. Some of those guys were older than us, and some were younger, and there were some really good skiers. And so you're growing up around this group of people that you, in some cases, idolize and want to ski like them. And it was kind of inspiring to sort of be able to be part of that.
Our favorite used to be the Vista chair. We'd spend a lot of time on there.
Trail underneath was called Show Off. And that's where the big rock is, and usually Dolores we're seeing going off of that. So it's almost like you wanted to ride the chair and say, oh, when are they coming down? I hope they do it Daffy. I hope they do this. But they're pretty amazing kids.
Those guys set the bar high. We never ever achieved that bar, but
It was fun to watch.
It was fun to watch, and it was fun to try to get better.
I remember a couple times them standing at the top, actually on top of the ski hut of Snowflake, and as we were coming up, they would stop the chairlift and just pelt us with snowballs. So we were kind of stuck in the chairlift getting hit with snowballs, but that was sort of what type of place it was. It was a lot of fun.
After growing up on Bolton and skiing just about everything, Rob and Eric wanted a change of scenery.
Came into my office and said, well, Dad, next year when you open the ski area, we're not going to be here. I said, what do you mean you're not going to be here? I said, I could have sold this place and retired. Your mother said we had to keep it in the family and you guys were going to run it, and now you're telling me you're leaving? And Rob said, nope, we're going to California to be in the movies. I said, well, there's hope for that. I thought to myself, they'll be back next year. They're never going to be in the darn movies. Next thing you know, they star in this big ski film. Extreme One was sponsored by North Face. 3 years later, they owned the company. We're traveling all around the world.
While Bolton began with a focus on families and kids, there has always been terrain for expert skiers such as wood skiing. Management took steps in the 1980s by opening up some of this terrain at Timberline, which became Bolton Valley's third peak.
Opening of the Timberline area expanded the skiable terrain by probably a third, maybe almost a half.
So we had a set group that would patrol at Timberline. We didn't have the lodge. We had a rental trailer, construction trailer if you will, that one end had a window to sell tickets, the other end had an overhead garage door that we could bring the patients into as we took care of them. So that's how we started the Timberline business and learned how to patrol that aspect and try to tie it into the main ski area.
Even with more skiable terrain, Bolton Valley started to fall on hard times in the late 1990s, and the mountain was eventually taken over by Mason Dwinell prior to the 97-98 season. But with new ownership came new challenges.
The Mason tenure, I don't recall that year even making it to March. Because of the way the place had been parceled up, there were various owners. The sports center was owned by somebody, the base lodge was owned by somebody, the hotel was owned by somebody else. At that time, they could not get the leases on the base lodge. So in order to accommodate skiers that wanted to ski out of the main base area here, they took hotel rooms in the bottom of the hotel and took the hotel furniture out of it and put benches in there, and that became changing area for the customers. It was tough on the customers. Credit to the customers, they stayed loyal to Bolton Valley, and it was tough on employees. And then the following year, the Hamiltons bought it out and went great guns, put a lot of bucks into rebuilding the area. And then Bob Freese came in here as a consultant. He thought it was a viable enterprise and bought the place out.
Bob Freese made many improvements in Bolton Valley, none more lasting than the installation of the Vista Lift.
One of the things that I take the most pride in was the building of the Vista Lift. And that was quite a challenge. At the time, we didn't have top to bottom lift service. You rode mid-mountain lift to the middle of the mountain, and then you get on the old Vista Lift and rode that to the top. We were going 12-hour days from April right up until I think we opened Christmas Day or the day before Christmas.
Skiers loved the new top-to-bottom skiing, but running a resort is no small task. Prior to the 2007-2008 season, the mountain ownership shifted to Doug Nettie and Larry Williams.
Pretty much grew up skiing at Bolton. My father joined the patrol in, I think, the late 60s. And we skied at Bolton for really as long as he was on the patrol, which I think was 8 or 9 years. It was a lot of fun. You know, we were just a rat pack all over the mountain, and we'd ski all day, and then at the end of the day we'd get to do sweep with the patrollers. After sweep, they'd usually retire to a bar either on the mountain or down at the bottom of the mountain, and I think we ate gallons of popcorn and stole sips of beer.
What really interests me about Bolton is you know, the kind of the joy and happiness it brings to the community. The after-school program up there I think is huge. Get a big thrill seeing all these kids get off the bus. After we purchased the land and the hotel, we started some negotiations with Bob Freese, who's the current owner of Bolton Valley. So over a series of maybe 2 to 4 years, we invested in Bolton as his partner, and eventually we invested enough money where we essentially owned Bolton Valley, the resort.
Under the new ownership, focus was put squarely on snowmaking, grooming, night skiing, and cultivating a family-friendly culture.
We invested a significant amount of money into our snowmaking system in the way of energy-efficient guns. We bought new groomers, and fortunately I've got a couple groomers here that have been here since they were in high school.
The loyalty of the employees has always struck me, and I had working for me snowmakers that would do anything to keep going. We used to keep piles of bales of hay and covered with tarps, and it would not be unusual to come up the mountain early in the morning and see smoke rising, and oh, what the hell's going on now? And if they would freeze a pipe, they would stuff bales of hay under it, soak them in fuel, and thaw them that way. Yeah, these guys are dedicated.
What we hear time and time again is just the quality of snow surfaces that we have available here at Bolton Valley. And a lot of that is how we make snow, when we make snow, and what we do and when we groom. Well, you know, one thing that we've done here at Bolton Valley is taken some of my previous experience and a couple of other folks and apply it to our snowmaking process. You know, we have limited water, and we have limited horsepower to put snow on the hill. We put out about 500 gallons a minute. Stowe, for example, puts out 5,000 gallons a minute. So we try to do the best we can with what we have. So we've upgraded our pumps, we've upgraded our equipment, and we make snow, you know, at the appropriate time. You can make snow at much warmer temperatures, but the quality of that snow suffers.
From the beauty of Vermont's highest base lodge to the community, past and present, that make Bolton what it is, Bolton has continued to provide lasting, fond memories.
I've had a lot of history here at Bolton Valley, and I really, really enjoy it, and it's the people. Bolton Valley is about the people, and I'm not just saying that, I've seen it, and I believe it.
There's a great team of people that make Bolton what it is.
And I feel very, very good about the core staff that's here at Bolton Valley.
Overall, the staff is just phenomenal. They really care about all of us, and they treat us extremely well. It's great to be a part of it.
It means home. It's home. Yeah. I mean, when people say, where do you live? I said, I live on Bolton.
It's still about sort of families and kids. I mean, even today, you know, you can drop your kid off and let him run all over the mountain and really not worry about him. And it was very, you know, that's really the same as it was back in the 70s.
Being up here with friends and family, it's still, that's what it's about here, and it's just fun to be with everybody.
Okay, that's enough. Let's go see Bolton.